All right, welcome back. This is a follow-up to the last video. Some of the comments were, well, do I need one of these voltage reducers for my 66 or 67 Super Reverb? And I thought, well, that's a good question. So I decided I would set up a couple of Blackface amps and we'll figure that out. We'll do the electronic experiments, check the bias, plate voltage and everything, and see what happens. But anytime you start increasing the voltages on these vintage amps, I would feel better if I had it reduced to what it was designed for. And I'll show you the tube charts. Both of these amps have identical power transformers, and the one on the left is a vintage 1966 Super Reverb with the original CTS ceramic speakers, and the one on the right is an original 1964 Vibroverb with the original monster JBL 15-inch speaker. Look at the size of that thing compared to those 10-inchers. And they're basically the same circuit, same amp. Really, the only difference between these two amps back was the speaker and the output transformer. That's basically, they took a Super Reverb on the right and put a 15-inch speaker in it and called it a Vibroverb. But these are the two amps that Stevie Ray started out with before he got all his Dumbles and everything. I mean, I think he had two Super Reverbs and two Vibroverbs, and they're killer amps. When I moved them into this room, I realized why I didn't like gigging with them. I think that Super Reverb probably weighs more than almost twice as much as those Tweed Bassmans. I could barely get it up on the table. The Vibroverb is a little more manageable. But all right, let's get started. Okay, first I'm going to show you the schematics. You probably can't see it, but there's the Super Reverb and the Vibroverb. Identical transformers. The TR1 125P5D, same up here, 125P5D. And they both run with 460 volts on the 6L6 GC plates. There's 460 on that one. So, and I've got my prized RCA black plates in here. These look like they were fairly close pair. These are kind of a mix match. They're so darn expensive that sometimes I just buy single tubes and try to match them. Those aren't even the same design. Short bottle, long bottle. But let's look at the tube charts. Now the voltages went up, from 1959. Man, that's too much light, huh? See, it's 117 volts. And go over here, 117 volts. But this, I thought you amp geeks would like to see. Perfectly untouched Vibroverb circuit. And the power transformer even has a date code on it, B4364, the 43rd week of 1964. Then we go over to the Super Reverb. Looks almost the same. Doesn't have any numbers on the power transformer. All right, I still have some work to do in these amps. I've kind of neglected them over the years. You can see in the back over here, still have a frayed 2-conductor plug on there that I've never switched out. It's pretty bad. But okay, we're hooked up to the Super Reverb. Turn it on, and we're gonna see what at max line voltage right now, which looks like 122 volts right here. We'll see what the plate voltage is running at on those RCAs. 6L6 GCs. It's not too bad. 471.5. Now we're going to check the heater voltage. Alright, so the heater voltage is a little high. Not that that's going to hurt anything, but definitely higher than what it's designed for. Got it hooked up to this meter, which is not quite as accurate. That's my Radio Shack. It was reading at 470, so we'll say it's around 470. Now I'm going to lower the heater wire voltage until we get to 6.3. Fine line there. All right, 117 volts. Wow, who would have thought? That's exact. Plate voltage is a little lower than 460. Here's the plate voltage. Let's say it's 450. I said this thing's about 3 volts off. Heater wire at 6.3, exactly 117 volts. That's crazy. So we're going to do the same thing. Well, first I'm going to check the bias, and then we'll do the exact same thing to the vibroverb and see how that works out. All right, here we go with the bias. And you know, for some reason I've always been told by when I first started learning, so oh yeah, run those tubes around 33, 34 millivolts, milliamps. And so that's where I've run it. Well, you can see it's a little on the cool side, but when I looked up a 6L6 GC at 460 volts, 70% is around 45 milliamps. So I'm not exactly sure why I've always had them so cold. They're really on the cold side. They might sound better. I'm going to get it up to at least 40, but let's do that right now. Hopefully I can get to the bias adjustment. Hey, these tubes are pretty well matched too, which is another shocker. I know I worked hard on doing that. But okay, let's get the heater voltage down. It's a real fine line there, like I said. All right, let's live with that. Now we're at 116 volts. I'm sure if I touched it, it probably jumped at 117, but we'll live with that. 444 volts plate, 445, let's say 448, but we're at, let's say 29. So I'm going to try to get this up there to 40. I just realized that's as high as I can go. I'm maxed out on my bias pot. So the only thing you can do in this situation is to put in a smaller ohmage resistor that's connected to that pot, and I'll be able to go up to 40. But I guess I'm gonna have to look at that and see. I just ordered some resistors, so I should be able to do that. All right, well let's move on to the vibroverb. Wow, this is crazy. I was trying to hook up to the vibroverb, and lo and behold, I was trying to hook up to the heater wire. The heater wire's solder gave out. So this is how you repair amps just by looking at them. Can't believe the thing was still working. I don't know if it was or not. It seemed to work. That's not good. I'm going to have to fix that real quick before we move on. Well, I did a very temporary fix. I'm going to have to get back in there and work on this thing. That's what, you know, all these amps need maintenance, and you really have to check them occasionally. But when I first turned it on at the same setting as the Super Reverb, it was right at 6.3 heater voltage. Now, and I'm at 117. It's a little bit higher now. Let's drop it down just a hair. All right, about 116, 117. Now, let me hook up the plate voltage. All right, almost identical. Let me go back up to 117. The heater voltage dropped a hair. Heater voltage 6.3. Line voltage 117. Plate voltage 444. And the bias 34.5. Pretty crazily exactly like the other amp. So let's see. It's got, this one has the stock 27k ohm resistor on bias pot too. So let's see. Yuck. That's not what you want to do. Shoot, I think this one's maxed out too. Well, darn it. I guess I'm going to have to get some 27k resistors. What is that noise? I mean 22k resistors. But there you go. I think you could benefit Blackface amp owners. Sure. You could save $40, get the tone preserver, run it in the -6 voltage, -6 volt setting, put you in around 117. Depending on your house voltage, you really need to check your house voltage and see what it is. If it's 125, you might want the Maniac so you can get it down a little farther. So, yeah, there's your answer. Oop, I almost forgot to test the heater voltage on the rectifier tube. And it's right on at 117 volts. It's 5 volts AC. See when I jack it up, puts at 5.31. Yeah, we got this far. I went ahead and hooked it up to the super reverb, and it's right at 5 volts too. I better go. I'll talk to you guys later.